Welcome back to the Traveling Templar channel. Today's video is on the Horns of Hattin, which was a battle that occurred on July 4th, 1187. To fully understand the history of this battle, we must go back to 1185 when Baldwin IV, also known as the Leper King, passed away and the sole authority passed to his nephew Baldwin V, who was 8 years old at the time of his coronation. But the kingdom was run by a regent known as Raymond III, the Count of Tripoli. The next year Baldwin V died, and the succession came into question. There were two major contenders for the throne. Sibylla, Baldwin IV's sister, was supported by Guy de Lusignan, her husband, and Isabella, Sibylla's younger half-sister, was supported by Raymond III, as well as the Hospitaller Grand Master. The Templar Grand Master, Gerard de Ridefort, and the Patriarch of Jerusalem sided with Sibylla, and in July of 1186, Guy and Sibylla were crowned King and Queen of Jerusalem. Raymond's poor relationship with the monarchy gave Gerard the ability to label him as a coward and traitor, which only gave Raymond more need to ally with Saladin, who was all too willing for the alliance. In reaction to crimes committed by Reynald de Chatillon, Lord of Ultrajordan, and the refusal of the king to punish him, Saladin desired to enter the kingdom of Jerusalem to take care of Reynald himself. Raymond would only allow a small contingent to enter Galilee, and only for one day. He informed the people and troops in the area to stay within their fortresses and to avoid conflict. Learning of this, Gerard de Ridefort sent some of his troops to defend Nazareth against the approaching Muslims, and a battle ensued. The Battle of Cresson would result in the slaughter of Christian troops with only a few survivors, including the Templar Grand Master. Small encounters and fights would eventually lead to one of the bloodier battles of the Crusades, the famous Battle of the Horns of Hattin. Eventually, Saladin would invade the kingdom, and the king would call his troops. The Crusaders met at the springs of Safaria on the 27th of June and held a council. Many of the king's men advised the king to hold near a source of water and let Saladin come to them, allowing the heat to tire the enemy, which had occurred in previous battles against the Muslim forces. Saladin had learned from past mistakes and did not move his forces from his water source, so instead he sent part of his force up the Tiberias and took the fortress belonging to Count Raymond, who was away, but whose wife and family were still in the castle. Even though counseled against by Raymond III, at the advice of the Templar Grand Master, the crusading army set off across the arid terrain through the blazing heat on the 2nd of July to face the Saracen army. The water went quickly. Men and animals succumbed to the heat of the day, and the forces were harassed by Saracen scouting parties. The Crusaders camped on the hills known as the Horns of Hattin, but Saladin's forces kept up the harassment campaign throughout the night. On the morning of July 4th, Saladin ordered the surrounding brush to be set on fire, which sent a black smoke into the already parched Crusader camp. Then the battle started, and it was a slaughter. Guy de Lusignan attempted to send his forces to take the springs near Hattin, but was repelled. The crusading forces were exhausted from the march, plus they were dealing with desertion of their troops who refused to keep going forward. The infantry that did stay was defeated by the Muslim cavalry. Even the Knights Templar were defeated, and those who were captured were beheaded, except for the Grand Master Gerard de Ridefort. This victory made Saladin's force the dominant fighting force in the region, and he continued through the kingdom, using his noble captives as means to secure the surrender of castles and fortresses such as Acre, or Acre, Ascalon, and Gaza. This would eventually lead to the fall of Jerusalem in July of 1187. A few months later, Saladin released the Templar Grand Master, and he took back command of the Templar Order. But the battle at the Horns of Hattin had decimated the Templar Order and the crusading forces, and would lead to the Third Crusade in 1189, which kicked off with the Siege of Acre. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and you can also follow me on X, Instagram, and Facebook.